Okay, so hello and welcome to another episode of the ECourse Domination podcast, which now we call the Online Coaching Podcast. And today I've got a very, very special guest, Rob Cubbon. Now, Rob has got a huge information business. He's not only an online instructor, he has got blogs and books and all sorts of stuff. And so today we're going to talk about how he ties all that together to produce a lifestyle and income that, as instructors, that's something that we actually aim for ourselves. So welcome, Rob.
Thanks very much, Tim. It's lovely to talk to you again. Thanks for having me on the show.
Now, it was great catching up on that hangout with Mark Timberlake a little while ago. And I must admit, one of my listeners, when I do send out the call saying, if there's anybody you want me to get on the show, your name came up, and it was a bit of a kicking up at saying, no, come on, you've got to get Rob on, which is something I was meaning to do for a while. So, okay, so before we go too far into the interview, can you just spend a little bit of time and give us a little bit of background about yourself?
Okay, so I'm from the UK originally, and I was never very good at school, and I was never very good at work. But unfortunately, the internet wasn't around when I was younger. So I kind of just started working because I thought that's what I had to do. And I ended up in what was a sort of very lowly role in graphic design. So I was kind of like a typesetter, and I used the sort of desktop publishing software to get freelance roles in very sort of mundane positions within design companies. And I used to go around to all sorts of different design companies, publishing houses, marketing companies, and do typesetting for whatever print design they had. And so I was in a bit of a rut, really, in my early 30s. But I didn't really see I didn't see life as though something that I could improve. I thought life was something that happened to me. But for some reason, and I'm very grateful, I managed to turn things around by setting up a website in 2006. And then I started blogging. Content marketing actually would be what it's called now, but at the time it was called blogging. And I blogged about what I knew about, which was graphic design related things, although I wasn't really a graphic designer. And I was very, very grateful to get calls from people who wanted me to do work for them. And I had a computer at home, so I started working from home, doing client work. And then 2 years later, I then stopped proper work completely. I'd set up a business by then. I set up a company. And ever since, I've been working for myself. I've been working for my company. However, more recently, my business has morphed, as you say, into more of an information business. Because the blogging, I did it for years. I still do it today. I do it for years and years and years, blogging, putting out information there for people and trying to make it as good as possible. And, trying to help people as much as possible on the blog. It just developed into selling video courses, selling EBooks. And I was obsessed anyway with passive income and Tim Ferriss. Well, we'll get on to that. Obviously, my lifestyle. I haven't spent too much time in the UK in the last year or so, although I am here now in my mum's house. So that's a little bit about me, Tim.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I suppose coming from that, everything built from giving value from that blog. And so what would be your message to budding online instructors? Because like a lot of people see that, okay, the online education industry is booming. We know that's no secret. And a lot of people see sites like Udemy and as a sometimes, unfortunately, as a get rich quick scheme. Just bash up a course and stick it out there, and all the riches will come. But it's not like that, is it? Like you really have to establish yourself and give value and sort of show your worth to people before they're going to start throwing money at you, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, if you asked me, what would be my one bit of advice to an online entrepreneur or somebody who wants to make money, passive income, say, or just make money online, whether it's active or passive, then my answer would be to somehow produce some sort of free content that's really good, that you really love to do, and then just start like that. So you could start on YouTube, or you could start a blog, or you could start a podcast and do a blab even, and this is free content that other people want to consume, and then you'll start to build an audience, and then you'll start to find out what they like to listen to or what they like to consume, and that will start the ball rolling. And on what's the opposite? The opposite of that is don't do anything and just put out a Udemy course, and it won't sell, because you need an audience, or well, it's easier if you have an audience that knows, likes, and trusts you. Put it that way. So that would be my first bit of advice, would be to try and create the best free content you can, and do it consistently every day, every week.
Cool. As I say, like I listened to a podcast by Seth Godin some time ago. It's not a podcast now, and he talks about an author and sort of putting the cart before the horse, and sort of like, you go and write a book, and then you go and you smash social media, and you smash everything saying, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. And people go, why? We don't know you. Whereas if you start off with a blog, or doing, as you're saying, YouTube, so you don't necessarily, like, if you're not tech savvy, you don't necessarily have to have your own website. But if you start off with giving that free information and actually show that you care, start that relationship building, then people get to know, like, and trust you. And then when you write your book, you say, oh, by the way, I got a book, and they go, great. And I've just noticed in the chat that somebody's you've got somebody who's bought some of your products there. So this is the point. So blogging wise, and I suppose the other thing too, Rob, is that it's not only a matter of sort of building this following, it's listening to your following as well, isn't it?
That's such a great part of content marketing, or whatever you're doing, and YouTube, because we're talking about Udemy here. So YouTube, I think, is a good sort of cousin. No, that's the wrong word, isn't it? But it's a good starting point for Udemy, because particularly on YouTube, some things work and some things don't. And YouTube's really bad for this, and it drives me crazy, because some videos absolutely fly, and others just, you think they're really great and nobody watches them. Nobody thumbs them up. And it's the same with any medium that you choose. And I think blogging's really good. I come from, that's my background, so I will use the word blogging more often than not. But it was the titles of the blogs that really pushed me into a certain direction, because certain things that I talked about were really popular, and I just sort of went down those avenues, So it's a sort of fantastic market research tool. And there are other ways of doing that, which we can talk of later, because we can talk about email marketing and stuff. But yes, there's so many reasons it's good. It improves your ability in whatever medium you're doing. Every time you do it, you're going to do it better. So, so it improves you. It gives you great market research, as we're talking about. It gives you an audience. It works in terms of on the marketing side. And you can enjoy it. It actually makes you feel better, because there are other reasons, because you get the feedback instantaneously, rather than waiting hours, weeks for you to finish a Udemy course and then get the feedback over the coming months. It's a much more quicker communication, and you get the answers back quicker. So I could really talk all day about the importance of that, why it's been good for me, and it's not just one reason. As I said, there's several reasons.
And definitely, and we'll go into that, because that is so true. And like in recent times, I've had people contacting me. One of the biggest issues is, how do I know that my subject matter is going to be successful? How do I know if people are going to buy? And this all comes back to knowing your market and delivering a solution and an answer to their problem. And the best way to know what problems people have is to have that relationship in the first place, and have that dialogue going back and forth. And I know that when I look back through the stats for my podcast, and I look at the topics of the podcast, the stuff that people are really interested in really stands out, obviously, by the number of downloads. So it is a great tool to sort of tune into and find out. So let's go. So you're blogging on a regular basis, and so where were you getting the content? Because a lot of people say, well, I don't know. Okay. Now you're saying no, write a blog every day or every week, but where do I find the topics? Like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, that's another thing I get all the time, and it really is. The answer is you get it from your immediate environment. I mean, that's where I got it from. So I would only write about stuff that I knew about. I think that's quite interesting. That's quite important. You know, some people start blogging, and they think they've got to be, they think they've got to sound like Seth Godin. So they write something general about marketing, and they say, oh, just do it like this. And they'll just copy Seth Godin, or they'll copy whatever the last guru said. And that's the last thing you want to do, because people can see through that, just subconsciously. They won't like that, it'll just sound a bit fake. So it might sound crazy, but if you're doing some really boring job, just write about what you're doing, even though it's boring. I mean, because you can get really specific about it. So, for example, when I started out, I always use this example. People must be bored of it if they've heard it before. I apologize. But I wrote a blog post about how to design a PDF with InDesign, how to create an interactive PDF with InDesign. Now, creating PDFs is not the world's most earth-shatteringly exciting thing. I don't think it would have got many tweets. But the people who are interested in that will find it. And I also got clients. I got thousands and thousands of dollars worth of business from that one post, because a client wanted me to do that job for them. It's not sexy, but that's one thing you can do. One thing you can do is what you are doing at the moment. So, because you're an expert in that. So that's a good start. Okay, it might be boring. You can carry on and do things that you're interested in. So talk about things that you're interested in, and again, keep it very specific. Don't go general and the 7 rules of marketing, or even if it interests you, just don't do that, because nobody's going to care if you're not anyone famous, which most of us aren't. So yeah, it's about being honesty and being yourself and being specific. And just start. If you don't think you can write 1,000 words, just write 500 words. If you just do a 1-minute video on YouTube and make it really good. In fact, 1-minute videos do quite well. You don't want to make them too long in terms of video. So yeah, it's just about starting, really. And people, and then the other, people put the cart before the horse. They say, oh, I'm waiting to get my website designed before I start blogging, or I'm waiting to get my funnel in place before I start making this content. And it's the content's you've got to start with the content. Really, that's what I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's absolutely perfect. And just saying, I was actually listening to a blab by Danny Inney, and he was because you're talking about you don't have to be an expert, and he was saying like a 4th grader is an expert to a 2nd grader, and people actually will sort of follow you and relate to you more if you're on the same journey, but just maybe just a couple of steps ahead. And so everything is still really sort of new and raw to you. So and you're relating. This is how I had this problem. This is how I got over it, and that makes you far more relatable and far more interesting than some boffin or PhD up there going, blah blah. So that's a very big point. So what's the next logical step? Are you going to now take all that content that you've created, and are you now going to massage it, so to speak, into a book or a course, or do you start your email marketing campaign? What's your next step? Well, how do you start to know what your audience wants?
I would start the email. I would start collecting email addresses straight away. You know, I mean, okay, it's a little bit technical. I mean, I certainly didn't start straight away, so you know, don't listen to me. But if I could have my time again, I would certainly start collecting email addresses sooner. You won't see any benefit of it, and it'll annoy you, and it'll be a little bit expensive, but you won't regret it. Especially if you're planning on staying in that niche or whatever you're doing. If you're planning to do it for a few years, then I would start collecting the emails straight away and just emailing them every 3 weeks or so, just to give them the latest blog post or the latest thing that you've done. When would you start? I mean, I was then, you know, I was running a business. I had clients, so I didn't start writing. I actually started writing PDF ebooks, and they were, to answer your question, the products come from the free content. It's almost the same. Obviously, it's not the same, because then why would people pay for the products? But the subject matter is the same. However, the delivery, of course, of the products is much better, and the quality of the products is much better. But it's almost exactly the same. It's not. There's nothing extra to the products, so it comes from that subject matter. But you know, I wouldn't put a time. I would just say start on the product when you feel ready. Because it's great to get your first product out there as soon as possible as well. So it sounds like I'm saying do everything at once, but I'm not really. I am saying start with the content, but it shouldn't take you any time to put a sign up form on your sidebar. It probably, actually, now I look back on it, maybe it will take some people sometimes. So just put it, you know, content first, emails second, but you might as well do them all at the same time. And then always think about, you know, the product. I think the product would probably come after you've done a wee bit of content, because, you know, it's the content's got to add up. So maybe you know, the product would be worth about 20 blog posts or something like that. So I hope that answers your question.
That's cool. I kicked myself because I actually had a opt-in on, no, just for a general newsletter on the side of on the sidebar, and then I redesigned my the look and feel of my site, and totally forgot to put the opt-in back in, and so now but now my opt-in is actually at the bottom of every blog post. So when they actually come down to the bottom of the blog post, it says, no, don't miss an episode. No, become a VIP. It's free. You're the first to know this, and you're going to get special offers here. And since I've done that, my list is really starting to grow. So I think it's very important. They say the money's in the list, but that's probably not as true as saying the money is in a responsive list.
Yeah.
So when you're looking for product ideas and everything else, do you actually poll or survey because you've got a very large list, don't you? Like in the tens of thousands or something. Is that correct?
Yes, over 10,000.
Yes. Yeah. So do you actually send an email out saying what's your biggest hurdle? What's your struggle?
Yeah, I have done many different ones as well, because not only have I sent out an email saying, what do you want a course on? I've also sent out an email saying, I'm doing a course on this specific subject. Can you give me questions on it? So there's and I have a question in my autoresponders, which is, what's your biggest problem? Just click reply to this email and ask me. And I also offer a free 15-minute consultation in my autoresponder as well. So I can actually talk to the people. And that's quite interesting. that's great market research as well. You know, and you never stop. I mean, I ask people on social media as well. So yeah, I guess I'm thinking I haven't done it much recently, but I probably have. I do it all the time in a little way. The problem with a large survey, the last one I did it was a hell of a lot of work to collate the results when you start getting a bigger list. So when you've got a smaller list, and actually coming back to your point of being responsive, that's really important. So if you've got a smaller list, it's so important to keep emailing them, and don't forget about them just because you know there's just one or two people. They're really important because even if there are 20 or 30, literally 20, 30 people, they'll all have just subscribed, so they'll all remember you. And so if you start that conversation straight away, it's quite important, and then you won't get overwhelmed by their responses as well. You know, I'd start the conversation straight away, definitely.
I think importantly too, you know, what you mentioned about people just subscribing and remembering you is that if you don't sort of drip feed them something, and then 6 months later, like they don't hear from you for 6 months, and then you shoot them something, and they've opted into how many other lists along the way, they're going to go, who's this guy? And they're going to unsub, and then like you might even be marked as spam, and there could be nothing wrong with your content. It's just that you failed to maintain that content. So it is important that once you do start to build your list, like saying like my first email to my list is, don't worry, I'm not going to smash you every day. And I haven't even put an offer to sell anything in any of the emails. My emails are basically come join me live. So if I'm doing a live blab, and then when I create my podcast and put up on my blog, I say this blog is now live. And I do exactly the same as you, Rob. In that very first autoresponder message, I say, what's your biggest hurdle or what's your biggest challenge when it comes to creating online courses? Just hit reply and let me know. And the other week I was talking, I forget which interview it was on, and Mark Timberlake mentioned Ryan Levac, who he mentioned Pat Flynn, who had an interview with Ryan Levac, who has the Ask formula, and he said something very interesting. And I think as teachers and creating courses, this is something that we should take on board too. Is that if you ask somebody what they want, they can't tell you because they don't know what you want. And Ryan sort of quotes Henry Ford and said, like, if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. And it comes down to sometimes, and then Steve Jobs made something like people don't know what they want until you give it to them. And Ryan sort of used this analogy, saying, okay, so it's the afternoon and you want to order dinner, and so you say to your mate, what you want for dinner, and he says, I don't know, what do you want? And you don't know, but people know what they don't want. So they say, well, what don't you want? They say, well, I don't want pizza because I had that last night, or I don't want sushi. So it's not so much even asking people what they want. There is a skill and a tactic into the way that you ask for this information, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm just reading that book at the moment. Actually, it's doing my head in because it's he's talking about asking all these questions and putting them all in different buckets, and I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to do that with my email list, which is all over the place anyway? And so I need to get to the end of that book to see what it's all about. But he's right about people not knowing what they want. I mean, there's and then I do like to use a little bit of sixth sense and get the feeling. So I also get a lot of emails. I get a lot of emails from people just out of the blue. And I really think that they're important, even if they don't tell me what they want. I think I think that's a really good way of just finding out what people is going on inside people's head. I also look at analytics, Google Analytics, to see what people typed in the search engine in order to come to my site, because I think that's really important as well. So it is all about, I think it's about, and this is what people don't tell you. People don't usually say that, because it's like guessing. and people don't like this, but I use my intuition as well, for better or worse.
And I think though, once you got the pulse on your audience, then you can actually follow your gut as well, because you do have an idea of what they're wanting, and then these additional emails are just coming in and probably just confirming what you thought anyway. Also, at this stage, I'd like to welcome other people who have joined the call. Please take the time to introduce yourself, and saying if you do have a question for Rob, even though this is a podcast, please enter your question in the chat bar at the moment. Just put a /Q in a question. It will pop up, and if it's on topic, Rob will address it. At the end of the formal interview, I will open up a seat, and you'll be free to jump in and have a live chat with us. Okay, so hey Terry, how you doing? Good to see you here, and there's Cyan and Val and Sarah and Carl and Stephanie. I feel like one of those announcers on those kids shows, and looking through the window, and we looked through the round window today. And okay, so right, the importance of having we spoke about Udemy, okay, and how people just create a course and they throw it up there expecting to tap into the 8 million. They expect that there's 8 million students on Udemy, and they're all going to love their topic, which they haven't done any research into, and they don't even know whether people are interested in their topic or whether they're actually addressing a need. And I heard you speak, I don't know if it was on another blab or whether it was in that hangout that we were on, about the importance of having that list. That list was a big help to you when you established yourself on Udemy. Now, I don't know whether I'm jumping ahead. Are there other steps that we should cover before we start talking about Udemy?
No, I don't think so. Actually, I wanted to say on what we were talking about earlier, in the ways you discover your audience, and I was just thinking that there was something that I hadn't said that I was really important. That's meeting people face to face. I don't even mean blabbing here. I mean conferences and meetups. I go to a lot of as many of those as I can, and when I go there, I just meet people who are just right in my target audience, and I talk to them, and then they say completely different things that they'll never say on email, because you're interacting them face to face, real relationship, and that is gold as well. So sorry, Tim, carry on with your.
No. That's perfect. This is what we want from the man who created the empire, and that is gold, because I think people, if they put things in writing, they're going to be probably a little bit guarded. As I tell my 20-year-old son, be careful what you put in writing, because it's there and it's going to come back and bite you. Whereas and so people are probably a bit more relaxed, and once again, you're building that connection and you're building that relationship and that know, like, trust. So that is a fantastic tip to everybody, is to get on to meet up and everything else, and look for events in your area and get out there and actually eyeball people. Like that old-fashioned thing where you actually go and shake somebody's hand and look into their eye. There's not a lot of that happening these days. Before we go into the Udemy question, we do have a question in the bar saying, Rob, which of the passive income strategies has worked best for you? EBooks, online courses, or blogs? Great question.
Well, when it comes to income, I actually share my income reports. Like, quick plug here. So if you go to robcubbon.com /income-report, you'll find out exactly how much I make on the various platforms, and by far the best is Udemy, and the category is the best is video, and it's for me it's much more than ebooks, which I do Kindle, so they're very cheap. There's a lot of competition, you can make more money from ebooks if you sell them from your site, but then you don't get the audience, because I get the audience from Kindle. So I hope that answers your question. That really, I find video courses really much better for making passive income than anything else at the moment. But
as you mentioned too, Rob, that your Kindle books play a very important role in your overall strategy, because obviously you'd be linking back to your video courses, wouldn't you? So it's hard to say that, okay, you're making more money from your video courses, but those Kindle books, they play a big role in getting your audience.
Oh, absolutely. I think I've been thinking even to run Kindle at a loss because I make so little money on it. I was just thinking today, well, not today actually. I've been going for a little bit of a soul searching in my business, and I've been realizing that maybe I'm not investing enough of my profits back into finding new audience. So that and the Kindle is a great way of finding audience, because you can put an offer in the beginning and the end of the Kindle book, and if people like you, they'll click through and they'll sign up, and you'll have their email address. And there's no doubt that this works, and there's many ways that you can improve this. For example, you give your Kindle away for free, and you could, if you really spend money, you can actually spend money to put it, to advertise it in free places, special places where they advertise free Kindles, and you can spend a few $100 on it and get 50,000 downloads. Okay, that's an extreme example, but just imagine if 50,000 people read your book for free. I mean, how many of them are going to sign up to your list? Thousands, if it's a good book, which we hope it would be. And yes, to answer the point is that Kindle, you could just think of it as a way of creating a bigger audience rather than a way of making money.
Absolutely. So it's just an extension to your existing list, or basically then we'll actually build your list, and then they go into your email marketing campaign. So even if they don't buy any of your products first up, because we also know that people need to get to know you if they don't know you already, so that they might need 7 or 8 or 10, 12 contacts with you before they spend money with you. And I notice other successful Udemy instructors, like say Phil Ebner, I just see he's just converting all his courses over to Kindle all the time, because they're saying like it's such a good channel. So probably not a big money maker in itself, but the channel back to your premium courses is great. Like I think he mentioned in one of his courses he made something like $200 in his first month selling his Kindle books at the $2 or whatever. But so somebody clicked that link and came through and bought one of his courses for $200.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way I'm thinking about it now. And I had seen it as a way of making money before, like a little bit of both. But now I'm thinking maybe just run it as a break-even thing. So this is like it's just a way of saying that I'm still not there yet. With all of this, it's still a work in progress. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's a work in progress for everybody. So we call you the digital nomad. Like you've got this this lifestyle. You've got this passive income. Like how we spoke about Udemy. Like how long does it take you to produce a Udemy course?
Oh, well, it probably takes me too long. I mean, it shouldn't take very long at all. I just started one. Problem is that I do other things while I'm doing them, and it usually takes me a month. It probably actually, if I'm lying, it probably takes me 6 weeks to 7 weeks. It should take me 3 weeks, honestly. Recording it should be pretty quick. A lot of my courses are screencasts where I show WordPress being, setting up websites. So they should be pretty quick to record. Editing, I have for a long time had a bit of help there, and outsourced a lot the primary editing. So just getting rid of the gaps and making it a little bit pretty, and then I'll come over and edit still further. So I get help on it, and yeah, I mean, I would say a 2 hour to 3 hour course. You know, it's really very easy. You should be able to do one in about a month, I'd say. And that's having other work, having other commitments, which we all do. But I mean, I work for my clients and I do other stuff as well. So it's only a few hours in the day, you know.
And so this is what we're coming back to. So saying that once you've got this structure set up, between your blog, your books, your email campaign, and your Udemy courses, like how much time per week, how many hours per week do you have to spend maintaining that?
Oh God, you know what? I haven't got a clue, Tim. I don't really. I never know what I'm doing from one day to. I am just like the last person you want to talk to about productivity. I never know what I'm doing from one day to the next. I never plan my days. I never plan my weeks. I could go off tomorrow and I would say go sightseeing, but I'm in England at the moment and it's raining. There's a surprise. So my productivity's gone through the roof. But I don't really know. I mean, and then the client work comes in, and then I do it because I've got to do it because they'll get a bit annoyed with me if I don't. And I do one blog post a week, and then I try and do a Udemy course every month or a book every month, or either a Udemy course or a book per month. But as I say, I never do. I finish them in 6 or 7 weeks. So I just set very, very loose goals for myself. But there are other things going on, you see, because I'm interested in Facebook, and I'm actually thinking of starting a new business, which I don't want to talk about because it'll just go off into tangents. But it's so I have no idea what I have got absolutely no clue what I'm doing, Tim. On a day-to-day basis, I have no idea how many hours. I have no idea how many hours I work a week. I've never counted them.
I suppose it's not a bad thing to be that you're not actually tied in. You don't have to get out of bed at a certain time. You don't have to commute to. I saw that post on Facebook, and I absolutely loved it. The comparison between a job and prison, because it was so true. Okay, you mentioned Tim Ferriss, and obviously we're talking about the 4-hour work week. So what sort of impact did that have on your approach to?
Yeah, well, I was in London. I had a very different lifestyle in those days, actually. I would have read it quite early, maybe 2009, 2010. And I was running a web design business, graphic design business. I was perfectly happy. I was married, living in the suburbs. And along came this book, which I was just starting to read it, business books. Because I thought I'd better find out about this business thing, as it looked like I was going to be doing this for the rest of my life. And the book just blew me away because I've always liked traveling. I used to try and travel, which was hard because I had to work in London as much as I could when I was younger. And he's also talking about outsourcing. There's and it was the first time I'd heard the term passive income. So that's 3 things. It's the traveling, the arbitrage, the currency arbitrage, or whatever you want to call it, the passive income, and the outsourcing. I think there was something else. There was 3 or 4 new concepts. They weren't new, but they were new to me. So the 4-hour work week is, I think, a must read. It's a bit old now, but I think it's still a great book because it's the productivity thing about turning your email alert off. I mean, I think it's a classic, absolute classic. There I was in London. I was actually location independent because most of my clients I just email. They don't really need to see me, and so I could have gone off. But as I said, I was married and living in the suburbs with a dog and a cat. Obviously the marriage didn't last. The dog and the cat still around, I hasten to add, and we're all very well. And so I went off traveling, because there was, you don't really want to be living in the most expensive city in the world, one of the most expensive cities in the world, if you can live anywhere, and especially not when it's raining all the time.
It's funny. Yeah, I've interviewed John Purcell, who you probably know, and he's a character as well. And he earns, I don't know, 10,000-12,000 a month. And I say, how often do you work? I'm pretty lazy, and like if I might work half a day if I feel like it. And he's living at that stage. He was living in Budapest when I interviewed him, and now he's moved to Berlin. But yeah, he was living in a nice sort of. He was loving the Budapest, the cost of living was great, and he was just making this ridiculous passive income. And it just goes to show, what you can do if you hit the right market. So let's have a look back at just where a logical flow. So content creation, and saying if you're not a technical person and you don't want to have your own blog, if all that sounds too scary, and with all honesty, these days it costs you like $15 for a domain name, which I think is important to brand yourself. Like WordPress is free, some hosting probably $70 a year, whatever. So this isn't big stuff, and pick up a course on how to create a website. So I don't think having your own website these days is such a big deal. So content, feeding into building a list, then from that content producing information products, whether that be you do cheat sheets and other sort of smaller PDFs as well, don't you?
Yeah, I do, but I don't do them so much now. They're kind of like the first things I tried. Yeah.
Okay. So, but those are good too. Like if you can, I forget who actually said it now, but I think it was Johnny Byrne. Actually, Johnny Byrne said, when you're creating a course or creating a product, don't waffle on and don't fill it up with fluff just because you think that the bigger it is, the more value it's going to be. Like if you can show somebody how to do something in 3 minutes, show them how to do it in 3 minutes. Don't waste their time, and don't make them go through jump through hoops to find the information. And they're going to respect you and like you for that. So if you can do a cheat sheet or a quick start guide or something, and that can be what we call in the business lead bait or a lead magnet. So that's something that if you can give value to somebody, that they're going to be happily to give you their email address in return. That's another good way to build a list. And so from the list to the content, and would you say that you're going to start creating your Udemy courses and then start to convert, it seems to be the trend now, that people are having their Udemy courses transcribed and going over to Fiverr and having them converted into EBooks, which go back. And I think that's a great, that's a great strategy, and that's something that I'll be doing as well.
Yeah, it's something I've done, although I tended to do it the other way around. I'm not sure why, but in terms of repurposing content, I actually think that webinars and speaking engagements should be added into this as well. So if you're doing a webinar, you've got to create slides. And if you've got a speaking engagement, which I'm lucky enough, I've done a few, and I really wouldn't say I enjoyed them, but I just think they're a very good idea. You've got to create slides for those, and I did one. I wrote it into a Kindle, and then I made it into a course. So I don't think it matters which way you go, but I think you've got that content, and the beauty of it is you've thought about the content. So you've got all the chapters ready, the sections or whatever you want to call them, and you've got it all. You've got the logical flow already worked out, and also, I mean, you probably will improve upon that. As you know, because you're doing it a few months later, and you think, "Oh, I should have added this bit in here. It's much better flow if I so the product will get better." I think it's an ongoing cycle, and I'm doing webinars now, and I'm just in the process of creating a course, as I said, and I'm using the slides from the webinar as a sort of basis for some of the lectures in the course. And I've thought about it. I don't really need to make a plan because the plan's there in the webinars, you know. I think repurposing the content is a very good idea.
And something that I haven't done yet, but will do, is a lot of people are having success with something called Slideshare. So this carries on from what you're saying about repurposing your slides. Is that obviously you've probably got to add a few slides to sort of fill in the gap, because your slides shouldn't be a novel. But people are having great success in putting these slide decks up on Slideshare, pointing back to a course or another resource. So that's another great way to repurpose. Okay, we've got hey, Matt's joined us. Welcome, Matt and Jason. And we've got another question here. I've got my own views on anybody on Udemy, because I think that's really dependent on your topic. In the same like, there might be 8 million students on Udemy, but that necessarily, like if you're in a really highly niche or specialized niche, we actually had this conversation last week with Terry, is that some platforms are still better than others. So that's my answer. What do you reckon, Robin? And what we'll do is we'll open up a seat. Yeah,
I tell you what, I think your answer is better than mine, because I would have said yes. I would have said yes. Anyone should go. If you want to go on Udemy, you should go. But I think it's a good point about a niche, because if you want to sell how to pay scales on the guitar and nobody wants to sell that, and no one wants to buy it, then of course it's a bad thing. But I think if you want to, it's probably a good idea. I think if you're thinking of creating video courses, I would try Udemy just anyway, because you can always do it on your own site as well. The one thing I would say is just make sure they're different. The courses are different on Udemy than they are on your site. They should be more expensive on your site and cheaper on Udemy. They'll end up being cheaper because you should really go for all Udemy's reductions, because then you'll get the numbers through you'll get the volume. But the only people who shouldn't do Udemy are the gurus who want to charge $1,000 for their courses on their site. So then if they go on Udemy, people will say, oh, well, why are you charging $2,000 for that course on your site when I can get it on Udemy for this much? But I would go on Udemy, and if you see stuff that's of a similar nature to your content, then I wouldn't worry about it, because that just means that it's selling. Hopefully it means it's selling. Again, I'm not great on choosing the niche, because I've never chosen a niche, because I just did it in my niche that I knew about anyway. However, Tim's the guy you want to talk to about Udemy SEO and working out if things will sell for you. I would say if you want to make video courses, I would do it, really.
I think, Rob, too, the important thing is that if you've never done a video course before, Udemy is still a good platform because of their production standards. So you're going to know if you can get a course created and approved through Udemy, then the production standard is good enough to go anywhere else on the web. So if you're not sure, like your audio production, video production, that sort of stuff, at least you're going to get some feedback and some pointers from Udemy. And what we say when we're looking at niche is, being a pioneer is very dangerous. And if you select a topic and you can't find any other courses, that's not necessarily a time to do a dance and go eureka, because we think that we have these unique ideas, and some of us do, right? But don't think it's because you've got an idea that nobody else has ever thought of that. And so if there is no competition for your subject, it could just be because somebody's tried it and there is no market for it, or there's such a flood of free information. Like, once again, it depends on your topic. And if you go to YouTube and you find these millions of videos, or you go to all these blog posts, some people depending on the topic, people might just be happy to consume the free content. There might be enough free content on the market to fill the need. So that's the way that we look at that. Rob, thank you very much for your time. Is there anything that you want to add in conclusion, and also let people know how they can find you?
Yeah, I think in conclusion, I'd say, actually, I'm glad you asked me that, because I was thinking earlier that when we were saying people put Udemy courses on there and they don't sell and they forget about it, and it's not always a go. I think it's important not to put anyone down if they're listening and they've done that. I'd say, still don't give up, because Udemy, you definitely want to make multiple courses. That's a point that we haven't said, and that's a really important point. I don't think anyone who's very successful on Udemy has done it with just one course. So if you put a course there on Udemy and it hasn't sold, then doesn't really mean that Udemy is not for you. It doesn't mean that it's a waste of time either, because you've learned all the things about video course creation, and you've become a better video course creator as a result. So I'd keep at it, keep at the free content, and keep getting email addresses, and keep creating the products, and then none of it will be a waste of time. Hopefully you'll find your audience and you'll start selling, and then there'll be a snowball thing. So that would be the last thing I'd add to our discussion, Tim. And to answer your question about where people can find me, well, you can see my name up there. It's Rob Cubbon. So if you put that into Google, you'll find robcubbon.com. And if you go to robcubbon.com/free, you can sign up and get some freebies. And if you go to robcubbon.com/free courses, then you can get some of my courses for free.
Awesome. And look, yeah, this topic thing, and sometimes I think there's two things I want to add about topic, and it's try to pick an evergreen topic, not a fad. It's very dangerous to build your business around something that's a flash in the pan, so to speak, because that's not going to build you a solid residual income. Like, it might make you a bit of quick money in the interim, but you got to look at the evergreen topics, the stuff that people are interested in all the time, that where people are enthusiastic, they're passionate about, and they're going to throw money at. So that's important. Saying, look, I put courses up there where I couldn't. I put courses where I couldn't find video courses, but I found books and videos and everything else, like books and DVDs. So you can if you can sort of bring that out of a book or a DVD into an online course, there's no reason why you can't do that as well. But yeah, I think taking time to do your research is important. So Rob, thank you very much again. You've shared a wealth of knowledge. I'm just going to open up the seat now for anybody who wants to pop in, and if you want to actually just type your URL into the chat for us, please, Rob, so that people can.
I tried to do it in reply to, I think C. McIntosh would be his name. Yeah, it's not coming out actually when I type.
Okay, I'll give it a try. So it's Rob.
We can't seem to do it,
isn't it?
It's robcubbon.com.
That's different. Normally you can just drop links, and now.
Oh yes, yours has worked. Here? And I just refreshed it by clicking on mentions and questions, and then.
Oh, okay.
And then back to all, and it seems to both of the ones. It's okay.
Okay, I think something sort of went a bit funky there too, because I had trouble opening up the seat as well.
No, it looks like I'm spamming everyone, because it's just like.
It's all good. It's all good. It's the Apple app. We can spam. Okay, guys. Yes. So Blab is a brilliant platform, even though for doing these sorts of podcasts, because we can have this interaction and answer these questions. But we look up in that top left-hand corner, and it still says beta, and so we do have these little glitches, like saying, unfortunately today I couldn't use my studio mic for some unknown reason. This little baby wouldn't work. So I don't know what I don't know what audio I'm actually hooking into, because I'm talking to a microphone, but I don't know what microphone I'm talking to. Anyway, please, if you've got any questions, if you want to jump on and have a chat directly, here we go. We'll bring in Craig first. I'm trying to.
Maybe it's the seat is locked. Did I lock that by mistake?
No. Here we go.
Yes.
I'm seeing a bit of lag here.
Don't worry about it. It's the internet's had a few drinks. Probably a Scotsman puddled too much whiskey down the internet.
I've got actually. Have you got a lock on his face? I've got. Oh God.
Yeah. I've got this.
Sorry, Craig. Hello.
That's okay.
It's
Hi,
just
Rob.
that I can't see your face because you've got. And now Tim's gone.
Oh, well, you can't see my face.
I can see it now.
All right, that's okay. Well, it looks like Tim's coming back. There you go. Hey, he's back.
The gremlins. There's gremlins happening here today.
Well, by the way, I've just popped over and asked for a couple of your free courses, Rob, because funny enough, here's an interesting thing. Quick one. Why did I pop on this blab when I saw what I was looking at? I just come off another blab that I was a guest on, and I was looking. I went, Rob Cubbon, I know him. He's the Udemy guy. He's the guy I've bought courses from before. So there you go. It just by one situation brings you over to something else because of an authority, of course, in creating information products. And you're one of those guys that I do follow and listen to. I have a master's degree in marketing, a bachelor engineering degree in computing, 46-year-old. I've been doing internet marketing for the last 2 years, but I've started in the last year focusing on my own information products. Let's put it this way: we got the mic, as you can see. We've got the lights, camera, action, and all that going on. As you can see, however, my wife has commandeered the office temporarily for the last 6 months with every bit of rubbish she could find in the house. So lucky enough, a big fat guy, I can cover most of it. So the next thing is, how much value do you put in the backdrop when you're creating information products, video courses especially?
When you say backdrop, do you mean the free content?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to put you off, Craig, but I started. It doesn't matter really, but I started in 2006, and I was blogging very badly, I might add, back then. Whether that helped, I don't think it helped me. I don't think it matters the content of the free content you've got out, the quality, or sorry, I don't think it matters the quantity or how many years you've been doing the free content. I just say as much as you can do is better. I don't think there's a formula for it. Because people ask me that all the time, because they don't want me to say, you've got to do it for 2 years, and so they've done it for 2 years and then it's okay. Whereas I don't know if I can give that answer, because it's different for everyone. It's different for every niche, and we're all we're saying is that it's a bad idea to just go out and start creating a product. We're not saying don't do it, because that's what I just said just then. I think it's a good thing to do. You just don't get disappointed if the sales are slow straight out the gate. Yeah. But you might be lucky, So and creating content, creating products is great, because I wish I did it earlier. I wish I started earlier, because it will get you better at it. Just don't make sure it's not amazing. Don't try and make it amazingly big, overarching product about everything that you know. Just make it a small product about a certain part of what you know.
I'll tell you, I like that. I like that what you're saying, because I'll tell you something now. For the last year, I've got 5 internet marketing platforms, won't mention them, right? I'm not here to promote anything like that. But one's in internet marketing, one's in sports club websites, etc. They're there. And everybody keeps telling me, launch them. And I keep going, they're not good enough yet. So I've got stuck in this rut of I'm trying to make the best, superest, best product that's ever been out there. And as a result, my business partner, who's in the States, Chris, he keeps saying, Craig, I want to start marketing. I want to start selling them. Why are you not? I'm not happy. And this is where I'm glad you've mentioned that. So maybe I should just click the button and say, go with it and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's just great advice for business, just generally. I think, you've just got to be embarrassed by your first.
Stuck in that rut.
Yeah.
Stuck in that rut.
One of the best things about me, Craig, is that I'm really slapdash guy. I just like to get things done, and I don't care whether they're any good or not. I just get any talent that I've got that helps me in business, because otherwise I'm really bad at everything else. But I do like to get things finished and done, and it's a good talent. It's not a talent, but it's a habit that's quite good to engender. Like if you can just put something out and just get the thrill of publishing. I think if you get really addicted to that thrill of publishing, then you'll push the button much more quickly.
Do you set a time scale?
No, not well.
I'm going to start then and I'm going to finish then, no matter what.
Yeah, but it's a loose one. I always go over it. But yeah, I do, and it's like a month. Like I'll create a product and launch it in a month. And I wish I could do it in 3 weeks, honestly, Craig, because it's all you need.
Yeah, the other thing too is Craig, is what can I say is that even after you publish, it's not set in stone. And I think a lot of people they want to create this perfect thing and they want it to be fantastic. But no, you're going to sell 0 of a 90% course. So you get your course done, and then you're going to start to get feedback from your students, or you're going to identify areas of improvement. And there's no reason why then you can't swap lectures in and out or add lectures. So even once you've published, it's not like a book. It's not a hard print. It's there. You can like your course can evolve and improve along the way. And also, as Rob said, don't try to write the definitive A to Z. Like I like to use the golfing analogy. Like if you try to create a course on golf, it's going to take you, I don't know how many months to create, and then you want to make to actually earn a lot of money because it's such an extensive course. Whereas if you break that course down into the elements of golf, like how to putt, how to drive, how to do this, how to do that, you're going to get those courses to market so much quicker. And then a subset of the people who bought you how to drive the ball an extra 50 yards might end up buying your course on how to putt, might buy the course on how to chip and run. But and then what you're doing is you can then make so much more money, because especially on Udemy, which is a discount site. So if you make a course and you sell it for $300, they discount it for $10. There's nothing much you can do there. If you make 10 courses and you sell them for $100 and they discount those to $10, then you stand to make far more money. But you're getting your courses to market a lot quicker, and it's much easier to.
I think one question that probably everybody's probably still sitting out there is probably thinking to ask, and probably not jumped on to ask, is which is best? Going to somewhere like Udemy and uploading your course there and letting them punt it and taking a bit less, or using something like LearnDash or WP Courseware or any of these other course management softwares in WordPress and hosting it and doing it all yourself?
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
Both.
Right, okay. That's okay.
Because I would start on Udemy because it's easy, and then have a small course on Udemy, and then create a bigger one on your own site, because you'll sell it for a higher
Which one do you use, Rob? Do you use LearnDash, WP Courseware? Is there one that you use at the moment?
Craig, you've just asked me a question that holds a lot of pain for me. You know, I really actually might start crying now because I've changed my WordPress plugin 3 times.
Which one? I know about the WP courseware with fly plugins. I know the one about LearnDash. What was the other one you're talking about?
You want to see a grown man cry.
I've been down this road myself, by the way. I bought them all. I've got license for them all. LearnDash gives me its headaches because the guy just doesn't have his site's rubbish and he doesn't seem to have enough.
Craig, you'll never be an expert on all of the WordPress membership plugins. If you were, then you'd be the biggest geek out there, and you'd be the most boring bloke at parties.
Member mouse.
Yeah.
You know, I've tried them all. I've got the list. You know, see these eyes.
Yeah,
how they're black.
See this hair.
Yeah, you see this exactly.
Well,
My wife says to me, "Excuse me, you know, I think we're going to have to get a fire brigade to remove you from that chair."
Yeah,
because I'm constantly there trying and testing, and no one seems to get it right.
Right. Well, I care about your missus, Craig, and I would say don't bother about the plugin.
Yeah.
You know, just concentrate on making it as simple as possible for the students to get in there and buy it. Bam. Don't worry about the course. You know, don't worry about making the course look pretty. I mean, obviously, it's got to be the videos have got to be pretty.
Yeah.
But the presentation, the delivery of the course on your WordPress website, once they've bought it, it doesn't matter so much. Because nobody has ever written to me and said, "Oh, Rob, I love your site because your courses look great with that plugin that you've got." No, they just write into me and said, "I've just bought your product and it hasn't delivered it. You haven't delivered it," and that is nothing worse than that. And the way you get around it is just being simple as possible. Just choose one plugin if it's wishlist member, and then hire a developer just to make it easy for you. So the purchasing is as simple as possible, and that's the most important thing. I mean, I just spent so long this last. I mean, obviously, I've got I've got issues here, but you know, I wasted so many hours going through these plugins, and they're all the same. That none of them. If one of them was the standout winner, then everyone would use it.
What I hate is I implement a system, I build the course, and then WordPress core changes, but the plugins now don't work. And they've not done. You've got to wait several weeks for the updates, and then when they do the updates, they've got bugs in them anyway. And see. That's it. You've taught me something here. Is maybe I have been because
overthinking it.
I know what I expect. Well, what I expect is, you know, if I pay money, maybe it could be because I'm Scottish. You know, Rob, us Scotsmen are tight-fisted. You know what I mean? We get white knuckles from, you know what I mean? Copper wire was invented by 2 Scotsmen fighting over a penny. You know?
I heard that one.
So maybe when I'm spending money, I always try to look at it as if I was a customer, right? And I came on your site, Craig, and I'm looking there and I'm going, right, okay, I want a pretty site. I want it to be functional. I want it to be mobile responsive. I want to be able to buy easily. I want the purchase process to be smooth. And I want at the end of it all, once I've bought, I want to go inside and get this nice content from you. Because I'm tight-fisted, I expect, because people are going to pay me money, I have to give them the best I can.
You've ended up being very un-Scottish and spending all that money on the plugins. Whereas, you know, and what Natalie Sissons did,
like another good bottle of scotch.
Yes, and what you could have done, what now I wouldn't say you should, but what you could do is just put a PayPal button on there, and every time somebody pays you email them a link to the videos. I mean, that's what Natalie Sissons did, and she made 30 grand on a launch, you know, and you mentioned about making the site look pretty. I quite agree. The site should be as simple and as beautiful as possible. But if you try and add all these bells and whistles, it will very quickly start looking like a dog's dinner, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's another reason why you should keep it as simple as possible.
Well, I won't. Look, guys, thank you very much. I would love to stay. I will be staying on watching, but I want to jump off. And I know there's an open seat there and nobody's jumped in, but I'm hoping somebody else now will take a little bit of incentive and say that, look, Craig's jumped in, fat Scotsman, ugly guy.
Craig,
no, we have to be ugly. It's the only way to keep the Englishmen like Rob in line, you see. We've got to put freedom and all that, So I'll jump off and maybe somebody else will jump on. But I tell you now, Rob, Tim, Rob, I know just even getting half an hour of your time would have cost me a packet. So I know the value, and thanks, Tim, for having Rob on.
When you come down to London, then, God's sake.
Well, if you hit me up on Twitter and that, and we get a private message going, maybe I'll just do that. Okay. And it could be not just one, because it's us Scots and English are very competitive, Tim, and we'll have to see who's still standing at the end of the night.
Oh my God! We won't be that much.
But all I do know is I'm pretty sure we'll have the New Scotland Yard informed not to arrest us that night. Right, but I'll jump off and let somebody else on. Thanks again, Rob, Tim, for your time.
Pleasure, Craig. Thanks, Craig. Thank you.
Great having you on. I'll just mention quickly too that talking about plugins, and I had a very similar problem. Like I love WP WordPress, and I think the other thing too is the way that the site is set up to help the student navigate is important, because there's been studies shown about setup and having buttons where and moving from lecture to lecture, and it can be a headache. I had a similar problem where the security on my host was so tight it blocked API calls between e-commerce and the course. And I had the same thing, like the course wouldn't deliver, the username wouldn't go into the email list. It was an absolute nightmare. So I think if you want to sort of host yourself, like when you look at how much money you're spending on these plugins and the headaches and the lost calls, I've been looking at sites like now it's called Teachable. It used to be called Fedora. But I'll be looking at those sort of sites. There's another one called eLoud. Now you are giving up a little bit of depending on your membership level, you are giving up a bit of cash. But no matter where you're going, you're always going to be giving up a little bit of cash. And even if you think you're doing everything on your own website, you are still giving up time, which is money. And then when everything crashes and burns and you don't get your sales, no, that's bad too. Does anybody else want to jump into the seat? We are coming up to, we've been going for a little bit over an hour, so the seat is open. I don't know how much more time Rob. It's the middle of the night where Rob's at. It's early morning here. I'm not a morning person, but I do these things.
Evan
will soon. It's coming in, hopefully.
Hi,
here we go.
Hi, Rob.
Hey.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yep,
we've got you.
Yeah, I've been following Tim quite a long while. I mean, Tim is legend. Rob, you're also is great topic. I started creating basically products, under different pseudonyms, really not on my real name, like as most marketers do in the early days, and the Splab is changing that slowly. I think next products be on my own name, and I'm working on a video course myself for Udemy. I'm totally Udemy rocky, and I want some of your inputs, and I really wanted to ask a question, and would it be great if you could ask Matt Brinstein to jump on another seat if he wish? And he's the person like up to 750,000 in sales on Udemy. So I'd like to really, just pick on his brain. What should I do as my first course? I really don't want to spend too much of a time creating the course. I mean, I know I have to spend at least 3 to 6 months to create this particular course as a given a value as a subject matter. So the students who's enrolled in that course at least can see the value and suggest that course to someone else type of teaching.
I'd get it down to below 3 months if I was you. A lot of people advise against doing a huge course on Udemy. And I mean, I don't know what the idea you have of the course, whether it's something that is very much the whole of a big subject, or it's a more of a section of your knowledge. but I would always create the course around a very smaller section of knowledge, and keep it very specific, and so that you can then carry on and create more courses. That's why I like to create a course every month, only take a month to create a course, and keep them very specific, so I can do loads more of them. So that's just my first reaction. And I don't know if Matt's going to come on. He's probably lurking, and maybe he's gone to make himself a cup of coffee or something. But Matt,
yeah, that's great. If Matt's jumping, thank you very much. No, I get it now. I think, like you say, I'll make a little bit more bite-sized course instead of just like long-term and then like dragging type thing, never-ending course for students. I understand that totally. That's a great point. Thank you very much, Rob.
No problem. How do you pronounce your name? Evangelos.
That's exactly how you say it, Evangelos. You said it correctly.
Yeah.
Evangelist. Okay, great.
The other question to Tim. Tim, I read the guy. I follow the guy called Justin Popovich. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him or not.
Rings a bell.
No, it rings a bell, but yeah, it's I can't.
He's the guy. He's the guy basically catapulted me, like opened my eye to the PLR product and product creation and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So if anybody's not familiar with that guy, look to some of his YouTube videos. There are a lot of YouTube videos, free videos out there. And if they want to learn to do their own products like we are in process of doing, and that guy's been one of the great mentors to me, and I learned a lot of stuff from that guy, and is very, very, decent place to learn. Obviously he's not covering all the topics. As we all know, the product creations can vary and change over the time. So that's the point I wanted to just put across to help the community out. If the people, they really don't know where to start, or they haven't got any money, so on and so forth, please and go find yourself that YouTube channel with Justin Popovich.
Cool. Very good. Now, the PLR side of things too is you've got to be careful if you're going to produce content for Udemy based on PLR, because I think don't quite know. Probably maybe 10 minutes max. Matt just asked how much longer we're going to go for. Probably 10 minutes. No, 10 minutes max. Yeah, because I think Udemy now goes through a double approval process, review process, and I think the first review process is because there was an issue with a lot of people generating courses based off PLR stuff, and now Udemy are clamping down on that. Probably it is a good way to create an information product to get if you don't know where to start, because it's very, very hard to start with a blank page. So it's probably a good place to start with to do a book or whatever else. But I'd be cautious about basing a Udemy course or PLR.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. That's not my own course. I'm not really based on my course on PLR at all. That's just like my personal video creation and the information that actually I do it on screen and so on and so forth. It's like everything's basically organic. What I tried to put it on Udemy is totally unique content. So to pass the Udemy examination, so on and so forth. So I'm pretty familiar. I've done pretty good research about how to be able to basically applying similar techniques to copyscape laws that you apply to article and so on and so forth. I really don't like to also copy any another Udemy instructor's information either. Obviously, you read through and so on and so forth. You can, put certain elements into your own work. Just depends where it's fit. I'm personally tried to put this course together, really help a lot of people out, especially this information product creation side of the internet part, and try to really help people who think that's more difficult or they haven't got too much money to start off with this PLR and be able to put their own name on some sort of digital product that they can upload on their own website and start basically, like Robert say, put a PayPal button on it and just start selling it and generating revenue. Really, realistically, it doesn't have to be expensive. Could be just like $4.99, $2.99, $3.99, even $1.99. Even could be just 99 cents. As long as you build an email list with it and selling, doesn't really matter what product you put up there. Just put one up there, like Robert say. As time goes, everything develops for better things, so on and so forth. So we all learn. We all have to start somewhere.
I said, like that, it is a great option for those who are having trouble getting going to sort of start with a product and to sort of beef it out and to introduce some of your new content. So that's a good tip. Got some thoughts there, Rob?
You guys. Sorry, Timmy, cutting you there. I'd just like to ask Robert one question. Where would you like to advise people to actually put up their first digital products? Their own websites or certain forums like Warrior Forum or JVZoo, places like that?
I mean, we're all going on our own experience here, really, because I mean, I don't know. I have never touched Warrior Forum and JVZoo. However, if you come from that side of things, then then you'll have a load of contacts there. So maybe that's better for you. But I never liked those places. I always found them edging onto the side of. For me, it's just a little bit too. It's sort of. I'm sorry, it just seems a bit scammy. Some of the WSOs and the JVZoo, I've had a bad experience with personally. Because people there, they tend to. I've had more experience of people there just trying to make money off me, so I've had that's been my own experience. So I wouldn't say there's any great place to start. Whether you start, you might if you have a site that's getting traffic, you might want to start on your site. I think maybe Udemy is a good place for some people to start because it's very easy. However, I think starting's again. I mean, I need to go back to my own experience, which has been starting with free content and then moving onto platforms and my own site at the same time, basically.
Appreciate that. It's great insight. I mean, I know it's like sometimes free content way, free traffic generation way can work wonders if it's done right. It just works as much as good as paid traffic, because I personally blasted quite a few websites for AdSense myself, and I know it can be effective, good income generation revenues you can generate from single post websites or just single blogs. Free websites, if it's done correctly, I think still can make an income. But what I was thinking about, like someone like new that they come into the groups, like especially blog chat like this, and finding us that, we are here to help people. Same time as we are here also got to sell some of our services, and realistically, that's what we all do, and that's what we all after. And ultimate goal is to generate revenue for ourselves as well as our groups, as well as the people we involved with. And online tools today is making that more easier than ever, because it's just really, there is no excuse or a limit for us to find tools or products, to either rebrand them or rewrite them or repurpose them. So there is no excuse for people failing online. Like you say, going back to the Warrior Forum about scam side of internet, and Vlad is actually putting that to the bed. So it's like slowly that will go out of the window as we know. If you got a product to sell to us, and we know we're talking face to face, if we have an issue with the product owner, you have the live support of that actual person now. And in internet world, the product itself has now become like this. This platform is more basically credibility to the product creator.
I agree. Yeah, that's very, very true. Okay, I think we've come to and
thank you very much, by the way, guys.
Yeah,
I'll jump out if somebody else wants to jump in. Thank you.
Thank you, Evangelos. Very nice to meet you. I think what we'll do, we're coming up to an hour and a half, so I think we'll call this session to an end. I'd like to thank everybody for attending and for their input, for the questions, and for those who jumped in. Rob, thank you so much. You've given up about an hour and a half of your very, very valuable time, and you've shared an absolute wealth of knowledge, and saying like this has given people a very good insight into how they can actually start to a roadmap to online success, and that it's just not as easy as just chucking a course up or whatever. That if you follow a structure and a process, then you should reap the benefits and rewards.
Well, it's a absolute pleasure to spend time with you, Tim. Thanks so much for having me on. I'd like to chat to you some more about your way of doing things on Udemy, because it's very interesting. And shout out to Andy if he's still listening, from Working From Anywhere, because he's a great guy, Australian, who I met in Berlin. And I've just noticed that he's here.
He's here, yeah.
There he is. So thanks, Andy, for all the stuff you've been sharing of mine recently, and thanks, Tim. And thanks everyone.
Yep. Thank you, everybody, and just keep an eye out for future collabs. If that little box next to my name is white, give it a click to make sure that you're following, and then you'll be notified when we make some more. Do some more blubs, and also all our podcast interviews are done here, so you can come along live and participate before the podcast episode goes live on the weekend. Thanks, Rob. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you in a future episode.
So long. Cheers.